topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast, broadcasting live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. This week and every week, we will reach for a higher purpose in money and life, as well as a focus on health and wellness. Now, let's join your host, Bonita Bell Anderson, as together we start with Asking Good Questions.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast. My name is Bonita Bell Anderson, and we have an awesome podcast today. I have a very special guest in Marques Ogden, who is a former NFL athlete. And I would like to invite him onto the podcast stage now. There he is. Hi, Marques.
Hi, Bonita. How are you?
I am good. I understand you're at your baby girl's game.
Yeah, softball practice. So she started softball. She played basketball. She's played soccer. She's played volleyball. She is really enjoying basketball and softball. So she had practice this weekend, and her mom usually takes her, but I had to run an errand for her mom. So I'm at practice. This is her third practice now, and she's really excelling, and she's really enjoying it.
How old is she?
She's 10.
Oh, that's perfect age.
Yep, I have a 21-year-old daughter who's a junior at NYU on a full scholarship for nursing, and I have a 10-year-old. My 21-year-old is Ava, and my 10-year-old is Farah.
Oh, well, you're a busy guy.
Love my girls.
Let me tell everyone about you a little bit. We'll read a little bit about your background. Marques Ogden is a former NFL athlete and is now an inspirational keynote speaker. He's also the founder and CEO of Ogden Ventures. He is a 5-time best-selling author. He's a business coach and a consultant and the podcast host of Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. Although his journey didn't come easy or even without unrelenting adversity. We're going to hear more about that. After retiring from football, he pursued a career in construction and contracting. And at the ripe old age of 27, he founded a construction company with fast growth, but eventually went bankrupt, losing almost $3 million on one project in 90 days. Ooh, that must have been hard. He pulled himself together during his darkest hours and did a part-time job as a custodian. Marques rose to the top again with hard work and determination, using his struggles as inspiration to blaze his own trail forward. Now he shares his powerful story to help others learn how to fail forward and achieve success in their lives. His story and insights as a thought leader have been featured in top publications such as USA Today, Forbes, Cheddar News, and Authority Magazine. As a speaker, he's landed jobs with over 75 Fortune 500 companies and over 20 Fortune 100 companies like Amazon, Goldman Sachs, Intel, JP Morgan, Chase, Cisco, New York Life, MetLife, Equitable, Home Depot, and many others. As a podcast host, he's interviewed iconic guests such as Michael Strahan, Joe Namath, and Willie Parker Jr. He hopes to continue reaching new levels in his professional career and positively impacting as many people's lives as possible through doing what he loves, speaking on stage and sharing his experiences and knowledge with others. Well, I think we'll have a little bit to talk about today.
I hope so.
let's start out with tell me a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, I'm from Washington, D.C. I now live in Fuquay, Varina, North Carolina. It's about half hour outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, our state capital. I am a keynote speaker, business coach, corporate consultant, five-time best-selling author, podcaster. I'm also a former NFL athlete. I was raised by a single dad. My older brother, Jonathan, who's also an NFL athlete. He's actually in the NFL Hall of Fame, first ballot in 2013. We were raised by our father, Cheryl Philip Ogden, and he did a phenomenal job in raising two boys. And we grew up learning three things: respect women, respect ourselves, and education over sports. So really grew up with a great father figure, great maternal grandparents, like they were in our lives constantly. Just great people, great examples. I learned how to be a man by watching my father and my grandfather, and those two did a phenomenal job making me who I am today.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be inquiring minds that want to know who you played for.
I was drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars and then played for the Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, and I finished off with the Tennessee Titans. I was drafted out of Howard University. I'm still the first and the only offensive lineman drafted into the National Football League from Howard University. And I
Wow.
went into Howard's Athletic Hall of Fame in 2022. And my dad went into the Hall of Fame for Howard in 2019. He went in for shot put, and I went in for football.
Oh, how awesome is that? Shot put. Wow. Well, tell me a little bit more about the time in the NFL. How many years was it, and what led you down that road?
So I played almost 6 years, and I started football late. I played as a freshman in high school, had a solid career. I didn't grow to be I'm almost 6'6", 6'5.5", 6'6" now. I didn't grow until I graduated from high school to be about that height. So I was about 6'3"
I'm only
when I left.
5'4", Marcus, so I would be a pipsqueak compared to you.
So I ended up growing, and I was so excited about trying to play football after high school, but I didn't get a lot of attention, a lot of offers. And then Howard University came to the table near the very end and offered me a full scholarship to play
Oh,
football for the Bison. So went to Howard, which was only beneath about 15, 20 minutes away from where I grew up. I went to all of my entire education, elementary school, middle school, high school, and college, all in Northwest Washington, D.C. All.
well,
And so I went to Stevens Elementary, then St. John's for middle school and high school, and went to Howard University. So had a phenomenal career at Howard, 4-year starter, offensive line, right tackle, left tackle, and center throughout my career. And I got drafted into the National Football League by the Jacksonville Jaguars and my rookie head coach, Jack Del Rio. The NFL taught me a lot about a lot of things, but resilience, perseverance, bouncing back, those are the key attributes, the key, things that I learned. I call them like willpower, grit, resilience, determination. All that came as a result of my time in the NFL. So I tell people all the time, the NFL gave me a lot of things that I needed to succeed where I'm at today in my life.
wow. What was it, an injury that took you out of that, or did you just say, hey, I want to be moving on, or what
Yeah,
happened there?
I had a back injury, and when you lose, my father died the year before, so I played that season. It wasn't really the same, and then I just didn't really recover mentally, and then my body started to break down physically, and
Yeah.
I just wasn't as good as I needed to be to play at that high of a level against the best of the best, and I had to shut it down. And in life, we have to face those storms. And I tell people, to thrive in the eye of the storm, it takes two things: consistency and you. You are the magic factor, you are the it factor, but you have to face the music. You can't run from problems. You can't hide, because problems, no matter what you try to do, run, hide, indifferent, they will find and catch up with you.
Yeah.
So I just had to shut it down because my body and also my mental state was not in the right frame of mind to continue playing in the National Football League.
Right. Well, it helped make you who you are today.
Oh, absolutely. The
So,
NFL gave me a lot.
yeah. So you made a pivot really at a pretty young age. What was it, 27?
27, almost 28 years old, I started Caden Premier Enterprises. For about 6 months after I retired from the NFL, I struggled immensely with alcohol, gambling, nightlife, women, partying, all these things. And I finally got my act together and I started Caden Premier Enterprises. And we became the largest African American owned subcontractor in the city of Baltimore in the state of Maryland for 2 years. But unfortunately, Bonita, my ego caught up with me and I ended up losing my home, all my money, my cars, my possessions, everything stripped, taken away from me because my ego was just bigger than King Kong.
Wow. Well, tell me more about what went wrong. I mean, I think that the biggest thing is not what actually happens, but what you make of it and what you learned from it and how you moved on. Because that sounded like it was a pretty hefty lessons to learn.
So what I learned is that in business, you have to trust the people that you hire. You have to listen to the people that you hire. Otherwise, Bonita, you're wasting payroll. And my top estimator, Colin Snow, tried to warn me that we were heading down a path of destruction in our business because the jobs that we were on, we were bleeding and hemorrhaging money, resources. And instead of listening to him, I shunned him. I pushed him away. I made him like an outcast, saying, you know what you're talking about. You're wrong. I'm right. That was on a Friday. He came in on that following Monday. He handed me his 2-week resignation papers and he left. And about 90 days after he left, I lost everything. And I had to start completely over from rock bottom. So the lesson I learned is embrace dynamic subordination, which means when you don't have the expertise to lead in an area, which I had zero expertise. You know, I was the CEO of Caden. I didn't know the numbers like Colin.
No.
And because I didn't listen to him and I shunned him and made him feel a certain way, poof, he left. And after he left, it was just from there a constant downward spiral until I lost everything and was forced to leave Baltimore like a thief in the night. And I moved to Raleigh in 2013, April.
Wow. Well, hitting rock bottom basically helped you pivot then, wouldn't you say?
My favorite quote by one of my favorite people, J.K. Rowling, the only billionaire author in the world. The only billionaire author in the world says rock bottom is the moment that I rebuilt my life. And she wrote Harry Potter in her car, in Starbucks, anywhere she could just get some internet. And everybody, Bonita, told her she was crazy. Just like everybody told me after my rock bottom moment as a custodian where somebody's trash, rotten meat, nasty garbage got all over me, that I would never make it, that I wouldn't succeed, that I was crazy for trying to become a speaker. What expertise do you have? Why would you do that? Who's going to hire you? You're a football guy. Stay in your lane. I heard it all. So that's my favorite quote. And that was the beginning of me starting to speak after my rock bottom moment in September 2013.
Wow. So here you are, 12 years later.
Yep.
Totally different. So what'd you say you're 21-year-old. So she was just a little girl.
So my 21-year-old, I met her when she was 8 because it's my stepdaughter. I married her mom. Her mom and I are now divorced, but Ava has been my baby and always will be because her dad, he paid child support, very, good guy, but he lived in Taiwan. So basically, I was full-time dad to Ava. And, that's what it was. And so that's where I was. And that was everything for me. And that's exactly, what it was. And, it was fantastic. So Ava was 8 when I met her. So when we started to have the trouble with going bankrupt, I had just met her in 2012. And in 2013, we had to move and we had to get down to Raleigh. So she had just turned 9 when we were going through the hardship. And Farah wasn't born until the next year in 2014. So she didn't see all the bankruptcy, all that. Ava remembers it to some degree, not everything, but she remembers coming to Baltimore, then going down to Raleigh and the hardship and the cars being taken away, all that kind of stuff.
Wow. So how do you recover from something like that? I mean, a lot of people would just stay wallowing in all the muck and I mean, like for me, I had a moment like 25 years ago after a big divorce and a change of life where I basically said, I'm not going to let this destroy me. And it was at that moment that I started rebuilding my life. So here you are. When did you, did you just completely say, I'm going to reinvent my life? What did you do?
So when I hit rock bottom in September 2013, I made the decision to try to help people not go through what I was going through. And I didn't know what that was. And I heard an audio book or I heard a podcast, that's it. And Tony Robbins was the individual on the podcast being interviewed. He was a guy that had hardship, was a custodian. At the time, I was a custodian. I said, well, if Tony Robbins can do it and then become this guy that's in movies and be successful, I can do it. But unfortunately, when I started, right, Benita, I had the wrong intentions. I was all about trying to get results with no purpose, which is why I struggled for the first 2.5 years.
Yeah, you got to have that purpose first.
Once I found the purpose and had the value, the results started to come. So I made that decision after hitting rock bottom. I was going to help others succeed in their lives by sharing my story and helping them overcome their fears, their challenges to get to where they want to get to in their life.
Well, the interesting thing is then the people that I've helped in my life that have become clients, several people have been there because they knew that I would be empathetic. They knew that I would be able to understand. And I think that's probably one of the things that you probably see is people know that you'll understand. And another thing about you is I believe you took 100% responsibility for your life.
Exactly. If you want to get your life back on track, understand this. Good, bad, or indifferent, you're the one that put yourself there. Good, bad, or indifferent, you're the one that put yourself there. And for me, it took me that rock bottom moment, that trash, that rotten meat. It took all of that for me to realize I put myself there. Once I realized that, once I owned that, then I started to climb and claw and dig my way out of the hole that I created, that I put myself in.
Wow. So were you just reading books?
So
tell me more about, I think the biggest thing is for people to find the way to rebuild their life. And, you know, a lot of people that have been successful have crazy, you know, terrible stories behind, you know, that just, you know, they kept on going. But do you think there's a common thread between people who have to restart? That what is it that gave you the grit to start over?
I finally found my purpose. My purpose was to help others not end up like I ended up. And once I realized that I put myself on that curb as a custodian, struggling to pay my bills because of my ego and my bravado, once I got through all the BS and said, you are the culprit, Marcus, you put yourself here, that's when things got better, because then I could at least start to own my own crap and get out of my own way. So individuals who are successful at climbing out of a hard situation, I feel, own their purpose or find their purpose through owning their story and making changes in that regard.
Right. So I think you found some humility.
Yes, 100%. I was humble, I took accountability, and those are the things that I started to really get going and move forward in my life, were those key attributes. Absolutely.
So was it at that point that you started Ogden Ventures?
I started Ogden Ventures in September 2013 after my rock bottom moment. Started speaking at that time. Didn't get my first paid job until April 2016. And
Wow.
then in 2018, got coached, developed myself. And then from there, our career started to skyrocket at that time. But it took time through building in that regard.
Did you go someplace for coaching?
Yep, I went to the NAPSA program, National Athletic Professional Success Academy. It was put on by Brad Mitchell, and it was at Penn State. It was run through the NFL Player Care Foundation and the Retired NFL Players Association. That 5-day training helped to change my life for the better in so many ways. It helped me to understand how to relate my football lingo and my football knowledge to the business world so I could communicate and talk to people in a way they could understand business-wise. Once I could do that, at that moment, our career started to skyrocket for the better.
So you started speaking first. And then where did you dream up the idea? Oh, I think I'm going to write a book.
So I wrote my first book in 2014. It got published in 2015, Sleepless Nights, the NFL, a Business and a Family. I wrote that to tell my story. And actually, my first book helped me to actually book my first paid speaking job. And then I wrote my second book in 2020, The Success Cycle, 3 Keys to Create Success in Your Life: Ambition, Drive, and Hard Work. And then after that, I started to co-author or can be a contributing author of 3 other books. But it really was about, the first book kind of told my story. The second book gave you kind of the secrets to get my life back on track. And in the last 3 books, I kind of was like a contributing author to kind of help other people that were writing, help them to sell their books, and help me to kind of get my brand out there, our brand out there in a bigger way.
Right. So when you're saying our brand, does that mean like your family, or are you talking about a partner? Or who are you talking about?
Just our team, you know, our team of people that are with it. I've got about 20 people that are on our team. So I'm all about our team that's helped me to get where I'm at today. So I say our because it's a team it's a team way. It's a team way of doing things.
Awesome. So where's the leap to? I mean, like that's a pretty big thing to be getting speaking engagements at Fortune 500 companies. Was it because of connections with the NFL that started happening?
Absolutely not. It was because I started I've been coaching kids in football private lessons in 2013 when I moved to Raleigh to make a few dollars. As I did that, and I was a janitor for a while. I started to tell my clients that I was wanting to be a speaker. I remember telling my client, Mr. Dave Nisvisky, who was one of my first ever coaching clients. I coached both his sons in football, Alex and Aiden. He worked for NetApp, a Fortune 500 company. And when I told him I wanted to speak and I didn't care about getting paid, it was just more for exposure and all that, he hired me to speak. I did a job for them in Chicago and I bombed it. It was horrible. He said, Marques, great energy, great passion, wrong topic. Brought me back 6 months later. I nailed it. Gave me my first testimonial letter from a Fortune 500 client, and it was off to the races. So from there, I went to other clients, network. So every Fortune 500 job that we've had has been relationship driven.
Yeah.
And that's where people get it misconstrued. You have to build a relationship with somebody before they hire you. You just have to.
Well, that kind of is leading me into another question here. The reason that you and I have met is because, well, I had originally seen your name on this radio talk show list, but you have something called the Inner Game Community, which is all about relationships. So when did that start?
So that's with my partner, Victor Garcia. We've known each other for about 3 years now, and the Inner Game Community was started to help people connect, network, and build the connections, the relationships they wanted to build for themselves in an environment without all the noise, without all the stuff of Facebook or all the ads, all the stuff that's going to kind of pull you away. And that's why we started it, and it's been sensational. It's all about helping people to rise to the next level through networking, connecting, and adding value into people's lives.
Right. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's been, I've had several great connections because of that community. And I don't know, there's something, I don't know, there, I guess the best word to say is like there's something authentic about it that I'm liking in just connecting with the people that are there.
And see, we have an offer. You can spend $97 or $197 a month to be in our scale room to get marketing tips and expert tips. But that's if you want to. If you don't want to spend it, then you don't. This network, build on your own. We want our people in there to have options, right? Do you want to scale faster? You can be part of the scale room. If you want to just network and stay where you're at your own pace, stay in there and network. It's up to you, right?
Yeah.
So we don't force anything on anybody. And that's why people like yourself like it, because we're not trying to sell you. If you see the value in going up to the scale room, come and join us. If you don't, stay where you're at and just network for free. That's all it's about.
Right. Well, one of the things that we do on the podcast is I have some bonus downloads, and after we're done here today, then I will be putting something about you and your company and that community. And so we'll have a place where you can, where we can direct people on where to go if they want to go check it out.
That sounds fantastic.
So what's your new company doing now? What is ahead of you for the future?
Just continuing to elevate through our Inner Game community, our speaking, consulting, and just continue to grow our podcast, get more guests on, have them share their authentic, real, created stories that they've lived, help people to push through challenges, overcome adversity. That's what we're all about in our community.
Right. So tell me about the podcast.
Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. We're in the top 0.5% most popular podcast worldwide. We just interview authentic people with authentic stories that want to share and help our listeners elevate to the next level. We've interviewed all kinds of people, athletes, celebrities, musicians, rock stars, business leaders, finance, podcasters, speakers, you name it. As long as you're authentic and you want to be real, you have a place to be interviewed on our podcast.
Right. Yeah, actually, I'm going to be interviewed by you. I'm going to be there
Yes,
in
you
a
are.
couple of weeks because it was 2020 when I wrote a financial book for professional athletes, the ones that have, gone haywire with the money that they get.
Yep. And a
And
lot of times what happens is people don't have direction, or they don't know they don't have a plan or purpose. And if you don't have that, you have a lot of money on your hands, a lot of time, it could be bad. And I've been there.
right. Yeah. Well, it's what else? What do you think? What else are you thinking that you want to share with people? What, like when you do a keynote, what basically is, how long is the keynote speech that you will do? And what's your usual topic?
It's an hour, and mindset. People are buying right now, thriving through the eye of the storm. The bison is the only animal that goes into the eye of the storm. And we talk about how to go into the storm, how to come out on the other side, less scathed, less harm, because you face it head on. And so, one thing I want people to know, the last thing I'll say about who I am, I'm about helping people to achieve their dreams. What we offer is self-confidence and self-belief enhancement through our podcast, through our speaking, through our coaching, through our networking, what we do. So we really love helping people to become, Benita, the best version of themselves, to live the life that they want to live for themselves. That's who we are, and that's what we offer.
Yeah, it's all about purpose, isn't it?
If you have no purpose, anything and everything else you try to do means nothing.
Yeah. Those are things that I talk about, transforming your relationship with money, and really, when it comes to things that are financial, it's not really about the money. It's about what's your purpose for your life.
Amen. If you have no
Yeah.
purpose in life, you will never be successful. You
Yeah.
might have a little bit of quick, wins here or there, make a little bit of money, but being successful will never happen.
Right. So where do you think you want to find yourself in 5 years?
Just continue to grow our brand, continue to elevate, having our inner game community, continue to help people, and just continue to add value to people to help them scale their business or have a better mindset or grow their brand in any way, shape, or form. So we're all about really adding value to our clients and to people through our different services, and to help them scale to the next level. That's what we're all about at Ogden Ventures.
What would be the biggest thing that you would want to leave with the podcasts, our podcast guests, that would be most important for them as they, go into this next month and this next year?
In times of extreme darkness, focus on the light. Be the lighthouse, not the tugboat. Be an individual that people can see from afar, that you can help them get to their destination, and help them in times of struggle, hardship, or desperation, or just hard times. So again, be an individual that's the lighthouse, not the tugboat. And in times of extreme darkness, focus on the light, which means you that are listening, be the light to lead others to whatever they want to get done in their life.
Right. Well, I think your little girl's got a great daddy to help her you're going to have another teenager here before long.
I know. Don't remind me.
Well, you've come from good stock. You had a great role model in your dad. And, for me, I think that what you need to do is you need to get out of yourself. I think that being of service to other people is always going to be what lifts you. Don't you think?
Yes, when you serve others, you're always helping someone to achieve their goals, their dreams. And if you do it correctly, you'll achieve yours as well. Put
Yeah.
others first before yourself, and that will get you to where you want to go in the long run. And I had to learn that the hard way, but the old saying is better late than never.
Right, right. Well, you got a lot of good years ahead of you.
I appreciate that. As to you, continue to move forward, and I'm excited to see you grow and have you in our community, and want to thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. We are so happy that we got to have this conversation today. I look forward to being on your podcast in a few weeks.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And so we will have your information about where people can find you in our bonus downloads on our podcast website.
Look forward to it. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Benita.
Thank you so much, Marques. And thank you for coming.
Today's episode is over, but we did ask good questions again, didn't we? Don't miss out as we broadcast live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. Join Benita Bell Anderson next week for more conversations with experts on finances, retirement, behavioral finance issues, health and wellness, and more. Until then, remember to ask good questions.